Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the cluster analysis in Tableau. Cluster analysis in Tableau is a powerful technique that allows the data analyst and visualization creators to unearth the patterns and relationship within the complex datasets. By using clustering, you can group similar data points together, which makes it easier to discern your underlying structures and trends. Here's an exploration on the theory and practical utility of cluster analysis. Let's say if you are just talking about what are the things that particularly clustering analysis can. The first one would be grouping similar data. At its core, cluster analysis is about grouping similar data points. It does this by assessing the similarities and difference between the data points and assigning them to the clusters or the groups based on these criteria. The next one is uncovering the data structures. Clustering helps us to reveal the inherent structure and patterns within your data. It can uncover the hidden relationships and dependencies that might not be immediately evident from a raw data set. Then we have the customization and adaptation. Tableau can provide various clustering algorithms and customization options, which allows you to tailor your clustering analysis to specific need of your dataset. You can choose different clustering methods and adjust the parameters to achieve the desired results. If we talk about the data segmentation, cluster analysis is often used for data segmentation also. It's valuable in marketing to identify the customer segments with similar behaviors or preferences. In healthcare, to categorize a patient with similar conditions, and in various other domains for segmenting the data for specific analysis or targeting. This clustering analysis can also help us to detect the anomalies. Clustering analysis is used to identify the data points that do not fit into any cluster. You can spot the outliers and potentially erroneous data. If we talk about the application across the various industries of cluster analysis has diverse applications. In retail, it's used to market segmentation. In biology, it can classify the genes with similar functions. In fraud detection, it can help us to identify the unusual pattern in the financial transactions. By integrating the cluster analysis into your Tableau visualization, you provide a means to uncover the complex data structure and patterns. Whether you are dealing with customer segmentation, identifying trends in the market data, or any data set where finding a relationship is very crucial, cluster analysis is valuable tool for data exploration and pattern recognition. So now let's go to the Tableau screen and see how you can create different clusters. Over here in the Tableau screen, you can find the cluster analysis in the analytics option. In the analytics option, just behind this forecast is the cluster option. Now let's talk about how we can create these clusters. So to create a cluster, I need some measures data. Let's say if I'm trying to identify the different trend between the discount that has been given to the customers and the quantities that they are purchasing. Is there any similarity between those? Or if I'm trying to find out whether if I'm giving too much discount, then only a customer is going to make purchase. Are there any those kind of customers? So let's try to look at that particular situation. So I double click on the discount and I will double click on the quantity. And this would give me a scatter plot of the quantity versus the discount function. Let's swap it and let's try to bring this the quantity over here and the discount in the x-axis. Now, whenever you are taking the discount, we are not taking the whole of the discount. Let's say I'm trying to take the average of the discount. So I click on this sum of discount and I choose the aggregation, not as sum, but as the average. It would give me the average discount that I'm giving for each customer. Now, this is the average discount and the quantity is scatter plot. I want to see it for various customers. So I drag this customer ID over here and it would turn my visualization into the scatter plot. If you want to find out the different clusters present in this data set, I can go in the analytics option and I can double click on the clusters. And this would give me the clusters for different data points. Now, whenever you have picked this data, you will see that this particular box would appear. This particular box is telling you that what is the variable on the top of which this clustering has been applied. So right now, the variables on which the clustering has been applied is average discount and the sum of quantity. And what are the number of clusters that have been made? So on the right hand side, I can see that right now 3 clusters have been made. Let's first try to understand these clusters and then we will see how can we increase or decrease the number of clusters. So if I click on the cluster 1, you can see this cluster 1 belongs to the customers who have been getting very low to the medium discount, but they are ordering some good amount of items. So here you can see the quantity belongs above 100 and it can go up to 400. So it is not optimal that we can consider this 400 because there might be only one customer who has made this purchase. But if you look closely, the quantity belongs somewhere just above the 100 to somewhere till 300. We have good amount of customers who have followed this path. If I talk about the cluster 2, this cluster 2 belongs to the person who have been given medium to high discount, but they do not purchase too much. They haven't purchased too many quantities from us. So these are some of the customers who like to get discounts also, but they do not tend to purchase too many items. If I look at the cluster 3 data, these are the customers who have been getting the low discounts and who have made the purchases between 0 to 100. So even though they are getting less discounts, they are making the purchase in the 100 quantities also. So these are some of the customers. If I talk about the outliers, you can see there have been some customers who have not purchased too much quantity but have got too much discount. So these are some of the customers which are following this path in this particular section, because these are some of the data points which are alone in this part, and the other data points follow these clusters. If I talk about this particular section, I can see that these customers purchase too much, but they have not got too much discount over here. So these are also some of the outliers. You might be getting one or two customers who would be making a lot of purchase, but they won't be getting too much of discount. So in this way, you can try to find out different clusters. Now let's say I want to make the clusters a bit more, like let's say I want to increase the number of clusters over here. So what I can do is I can go in the number of clusters over here. Instead of automatic, I can keep the value as 4, and it would then make 4 clusters. You can see over here the 4th cluster is given by this particular green color or cyan color. Now you can again try to see the different clusters that have been present in the dataset, and these clusters would be made with that same amount of points because it is trying to identify now from a different perspective. So this is one of the way in which you can try to create different types of clusters, and you can try to then format it based on whatever the colors are shown or any values are shown, or you can also try to make a set out of them. How we can make a set out of them, we can see it in the upcoming lectures. Now if I go to the another page, I'll create another cluster for you. This time I'm trying to find out what is the relationship between the sales and profit, what is the customer trend going on in that particular direction. So for that, what I'll do is I'll double click on profit and double click on sales. I'll just swap the values, or you can leave it as it is. Now you can again take this customer ID, and in the analytics option you can try to form this cluster. You see now it has again created 3 clusters. It would identify itself what if this automatic option is choosing. It would identify itself that how much optimal number of clusters it should make. If you are not happy with that number of customers, you can put the values manually over here. Now let's talk a bit about these clusters. You can see that if I talk about cluster 1, these are the customers who have given us too much sales and who have given us too much of profit. If I talk about clusters 2, these are the customers who have made us some sales but who are not giving us any profit. You can see in the profit section, all of these customers, majority of them I should say, belong just below this 0k line, which means they are loss giving customers. And there are some other customers also in the cluster 3 which are giving me loss. So I can then try to find out these customers and whatever things they have purchased, and then try to find out how I can take some profit out of them, because there are many customers who have given me loss and they belong to every cluster. Even they have given me high sales, then also they are giving me good amount of loss over here. So let's say if I talk about this customer, this has given me a good amount of sales over here, but still it is a loss giving customer. So these are some of the ways in which you can try to find out the different cluster of customers who have given you sales but also are incurring some loss to your organization, and also some high profit giving customers. As you can see, these are some of the customers who have given me a lot of sales, thus giving me a lot of profit. You can try to identify whatever these products which were giving you these kind of losses. You can try to find out whether you were giving too much of discounts on the top of that. That's why it was giving you too much of loss. So you can try to do it with the same amount of scatter plot. Let's say if you are trying to find out the relationship between the profit and discount this time. Again, you can take the average of discount in this case. So I'll choose a measure of sum as measure of average now. Over here, I'll again drop this customer ID, and here you can try to find out the relationship between the average discount that has been given and the profit that you have been made. So if you give too much of discount, so that means you bound to make too much of loss over here. And whenever we are giving less amount of discount, you can see this is the trend that our data is following and is giving us profit only. So these were some of the things that you can do to find the different type of clusters in your data. If you want to apply the clusters on top of this also, you can again drag and drop these clusters over here and it would give you the segmentation of that. So this was all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we will be talking about the reference lines in Tableau. Thank you.